Morning, ladies. Welcome to Snowberry Stampers. This is a product spotlight overview video for this month's product spotlight, which is Seaside Notions. As you can see, Maggie is hanging out with us today. She decided she needed to be right smack in the middle of everything. Okay, so in your kit, I'm going to review the card pieces that you have. So this is card number 1, and this has you have a piece of watercolor paper, but you also have a pack of watercolor paper. All of these elements are stamped on watercolor paper, and I've stamped with StazOn, and that's because you're using water in your aqua painter to color these. So you want to stamp with StazOn, and then go ahead and watercolor. Some of the colors that I used were Blushing Bride, Petal Pink, Sahara Sand down here on the ground, and for the sand dollar. And I've also used Soft Sea Foam. So for the water, I just did a watercolor wash in the background, and that was using Coastal Cabana and Bermuda Bay. So just put a little bit of ink on a block, and then put your aqua painter in it, load it up with some water, and then just wash it across the watercolor paper. And then just give it a chance to dry before you do anything else with it. And then set that aside and stamp your images and then watercolor them. And watercolor paper is awesome. It's very forgiving. So if you're not happy with the color, add a little bit of water, wash it out, and then you can add something else on top of it. Also, you can speed up the drying process by heat setting it. All right. And then I went ahead and then just cut all of these out, fussy cutting. And then the sand dollar and this shell are popped up on dimensionals, as well as the seahorse. Everything else is glued down. So you've got a gift from me is a sheet of dimensionals to go ahead and do that. And then you've got the epoxy droplets as well to add on for just a little bit more 3D look to the card. All right. My inside is blank, but go ahead and stamp one of the images on the inside. Remember, if you're going to watercolor on regular paper, that it will pill, so you want to use a very gentle hand if you're opting to watercolor on the inside of your card. Okay, so that is number 1. Number 2 is a card using Balmy Blue, and I've already embossed that background for you, and it sits on top of a crumb cake layer, which sits on a white cardstock. Okay, you've got the white circle, so I've just gone ahead and done some light stamping on the circle as a background, and the seahorse here is also stamped on watercolor paper and then fussy cut out. I find that the watercolor paper just gives me a softer effect than if I were to color it with markers, but you could easily do that as well. And then you've got some pieces of vellum that I punched out for you, a die cut for you. And then the Thinking of You is embossed with white embossing powder, and then I just hand trimmed it out. Okay. The Thinking and the seahorse are popped up with dimensionals. Everything is glued straight down on a piece of Sahara sand, so you've got that in your kit as well. So you do have 2 Sahara sands. They are both the same size. All right. Oops. All right, card number 3 is a little frame card. And what I have done, I used a sticky note, and I cut out some clouds. And let's see, I'll show you that. All right, so I went ahead and I just freehand cut some clouds, and the sticky part is here, and then sponge around the clouds to get the white effect and the light blue. And then I just went over it very gently as well with the blue. And then I did create with the Post-it notes the horizon. All right. And the colors that I used were, let's see, Balmy Blue, and I used a little bit of Pool Party. I think I used all my blues, and I just kept adding layer upon layer, especially for the water. Now you see the sand down here. I went ahead and did that for you. That's done on a ripped piece of paper with embossing paste that I put a couple of drops of crumb cake reinker into. And it is going to be a little bit longer than you need, so you're just going to have to trim it down size-wise. There is a white piece for this part of the stamping, and then this frame is popped up on top of it. Okay, and then the seahorse was stamped, and then I just embossed him in white, and I sponged him. But you can easily just stamp him in black, and then just sponge on top of that as well. Okay. And so you can see that that frame is popped up. And the easiest way is, if you don't have the foam strips, is to use the edges of the dimensionals and just give it some support. It doesn't have to be all the way around, but you want to do more than just the corners. You want to do inside as well, so that the frame doesn't collapse when you go to mail it. All right, it's card number 3. And card number 4. All right. So on here, you've got a blushing bride layer. That's the pink. And then this is watercolor paper that I just ripped the edge. And then I just took a piece of the vellum cardstock and I tore that and stuck that back here just to give it a little bit more of visual interest. There's a piece of vellum beneath the seahorse. All of these are stamped in black. And I watercolored, so since I watercolored, they're stamped in StazOn. All right, and then I just stamped some of the ground on the bottom and then just added some ink. Excuse me. Okay. The shell and the seahorse are popped up on dimensionals. Everything is stamped flat on. And I also did some masking by stamping the shells first, and then I created a mask using some sticky notes, and then I stamped the coral behind it. Okay. Then I've got some epoxy droplets on here and a piece of baker's twine is just wrapped around the pink piece, and the card opens this way. Okay, so there you have it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help you through, and happy creating. This is a great set, and I hope you enjoyed using it as much as I did. And until next month, take care, stay safe, and hug your loved ones. Bye.